Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Speaker MC Show. I am your host, Marcia Chambers, and I would like to invite you to our show tonight, which is going to be about 60 minutes, and you'll engage with us in conversation around a specific topic. The mission of our show is to expose a different aspect of our relationship, whether with ourselves, family, co-workers, children, food, etc., to tap into the problems that exist in these relationships that affect our daily existence. And we will offer some tips, solutions, informations on how to make them better. We encourage you to voice your questions and comments in the chat section on the right-hand portion of the screen. And at the end of the show, our guests will be offering you a gift as a reward for staying with us all the way to the end of the show. 60 minutes of fun, engagement, and enjoyment. Tonight's show topic is Focus RX, the cure to the anemic relationship. Are you spreading yourself too thin by doing too many things at once in the name of what? Multitasking? And how much have you really accomplished? We are going to share tips with you tonight to show you and help you to better manage your time and to get focused and to get results. Our guests tonight are Mr. Jim Leroy, who is the CEO of Freedom Artist Management, which is located in Brooklyn, New York. Yay, Brooklyn! Mr. Leroy can be connected with on Facebook and on Twitter at Young and Conscious, at Young and Conscious 1 on Twitter. The information is located in the right-hand chat section, so you can click on it. His area of expertise is a music production artist manager, and we'll be hearing a little bit more from Mr. Leroy. And our other guest tonight is Mr. Marcus Carter, CEO of MC Enterprises, which is located in Chicago, Illinois. Woo! Go Chicago! Lights out. Marcus is a speaker, marketing, and creative financing consultant. He'll be offering a free gift at the end also. So stay tuned to hear about it. And my name, I am your host, Marcia Chambers. I am CEO of Speak to MC LLC, which is in New York City, the Big Apple. Yes, and you can connect with me on Facebook and Twitter at Speak2MC. That's Speak2MC. So let's delve into tonight's topic. As I said, we are talking about focus and how the lack of focus is creating these anemic relationships. This show topic was inspired by a conversation I had with a girlfriend of mine. And she had been running herself ragged. She said, oh, Marcia, you know, I'm doing this and I'm going here and I have to pick up the kids and I have to pick up the dog and I have to take the grandma, and she just recited a whole lengthy laundry list. And by the end of the conversation, I felt exhausted. I said, well, how are you doing all of this stuff? She said, you know what? I feel like I'm one of those gerbils running in that little Ferris wheel and just not getting anything done. She said, the more I exert myself, the less it seems that I accomplish. So this has inspired that. And I said, well, what's going on? Can't your husband help you? She said, he's working like 20-hour days, so he doesn't have any time. By the time he gets home, he's tired. And I said, well, what happened to the kids? Oh, well, you know, we just shuffle them off to bed. I said, well, golly, that's no life. By the time you look around, your kids are 30. And you don't even know how they grew up. And she said, you know, that's true. So here we are talking about this multitasking, trying to do everything all by yourself. And the Speaker MC show is all about relationships. And with relationships, you can tap into so many different things. And in our daily existence, when we don't focus and we're not aware and we don't take the time to be aware, a lot of things suffer. So I ask you, gentlemen, can you speak to this topic? And I'll start with you, Marcus. If you can just give us a little background and then just delve into your commentary on that. I'm hearing some feedback from somebody. Jim, do you have your earphones on? Because I'm hearing audio feedback.
I have my earphones on. I don't have no feedback.
Oh, I'm getting some feedback. Okay,
I'm not getting no feedback.
that's all right. So Marcus, would you like to expound on that? Just tell us a little bit about Marcus Carter.
Me, myself, as Marcia so graciously did, she told you a little bit about myself, but I am an author. And the very, very first book I wrote was called You, Me, Him, and Her. And that was an examination of the urban relationship and some of the issues that they face. I'll be the first to tell you that that wasn't a genre that I wanted to attack. I'm not the guy that sits there and I want to do examples and experiments about urban relationships, but that was the only topic that I could write about without doing a lot of research, that I can just really just write from experience about all the things I've been through. So looking at a situation like that, being able to take the female point of view and the male point of view, because I think sometimes a lot of things get lost in translation because we don't think alike. We don't think alike at all. And how that kind of resonates with the topic that we're talking about today is that a lot of times if you don't focus on time management, or you don't focus on focus in general, you're forcing yourself to be perfect. And none of us are perfect. Yes. That'll be the first thing we'll say. So if you don't focus on time management, that means you have to be an expert at communication. That means you have to be an expert on understanding the signals that your mate is trying to give to you. Whereas if you focus a little bit more on your time management and how you do that, you're taking a little bit of pressure off yourself. So ready to delve into the topic, ready to delve in.
Yes. I like that because I'm all about creating a to-do list. That's just my thing. But, not many people like that kind of idea. And as you say, we're not all perfect. So, Jim, could you tell us a little bit about Young Unconscious and Jim Leroy, and then speak to this topic of multitasking?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jim, as Marcia said. So I'm a music producer, full-time music producer, and I started an artist management company. The challenges that I see with artists is they have a lot. They're trying to juggle a job. They're trying to juggle a family. They're trying to juggle the music career that they want. And I see that a lot all the time. They're trying to figure out, like, I really want to lock into the music. I just give them my personal experience that I went through. I went through the same exact dilemma. So what I did was I just left the 9-to-5. I started working at a check cashing at night. If you really want it, you'll just make it happen. So I left for 9-to-5, worked at a check cashing, and I bring like a portable studio to work and just make music at work. So that's a personal story I tell them. They just have to, it's not a balance thing. It's more of a juggle. You got to know how to juggle it. If you really want it, you'll figure out a way to get it. So I look forward to this topic. And I got a few pointers on people, not just artists, just in general. If you need help with family, if you need help with a lot of responsibilities like I do, grandparents, my brother, my parents, stuff like that, I got some ideas on how to figure that out.
Absolutely. A lot of people, as you guys both mentioned, they tend to want to do everything themselves. And this is a lot akin to women. So Marcus, it's so funny that you talk about the male and the female dynamic. A lot of women, because we're such nurturers, we tend to want to do everything. I always admired the male psyche, how the male can compartmentalize every aspect of their life. Even when they have multiple girlfriends, they can compartmentalize and they can actually focus on one thing at a time for the most part. But us women, we just want to do this and we want to do that. We want to take care of this. So, we're carrying the baby in one arm and we're carrying the vacuum in the other arm, and we're cooking on the top of our heads. So a lot of women tend to not exude that leadership quality where it takes to delegate. Ask someone to help you. Ask someone to do something else. Or like you said, Marcus, speak effectively and clearly understand what it is that needs to be done. That speaks to the leadership. So how do people tend to get this leadership quality just in their daily lives? I mean, they have kids, they have a job, and a lot of them might say, well, I don't need to be a leader, because they misunderstand what it really means, what leadership really means. Can you speak to that point?
First, I'll say you gave us too much credit as far as males in general in that description. I do think women are the dominant species, and if all my guys out there might hate me for that. But when you're talking about like leadership, I think you start talking about what we hold as assets and who's able to understand what that asset is and how valuable it is. Now, I'm a proponent of saying that time is the most valuable asset that we have. That's the natural resource that we'll never get back. Me at 35, I can't go back to 25. So me understanding that allows me to value today. So me being able to value today, that allows me to put more energy into particular relationships. So that allowed me to say that, like, okay, it's time that I spend with my significant other as important as the time I spend with my guys debating who's better, LeBron James or Stephen Curry. So being able to value my time and understand how valuable it is, that allows me to be a leader, because I'll be the one that says, I'm not doing that. I am doing that. That's something I don't have time for. That I will make time for. And you start getting into a situation like what Jim just said, like, okay, I wanted to do this so bad that while I'm working on something, I'm actually making time to create a stairway or a stepping stone to what I actually want to do. I would call that being a leader, because he has a clear idea of what his priorities are and how he's going to get there. That's what a leader is, and that's what a leader does.
Nice.
That's absolutely true. Jim, you want to comment on that?
I think Marcus hit it right on the nail with everything he just said. I find it difficult I find a lot of people find it difficult on just managing all of that. Like pretty much what you're saying with a lady having a baby on one arm, vacuum, cooking on that. It's really about waking up in the morning, thanking God for breath, and then you gotta write it down. If you're trying to hold it, like I think we all could attest to this. Like we want to hold on, like we try to do everything in our head. Like, oh, okay, I got this to do, I got that to do, I got to do this, and then at the end of the night, you're like, oh, I forgot to do that. So I think the most important thing is to write it down, and write it down according to its importance. I got to do this today. I got to do that today. I got to do this. When it comes to my girlfriend, like me personally, the way I move is I took it from my mentor. My mentor said he sets a specific date for his wife. Fridays is only him and his wife. That's Magic Johnson. Fridays, him and his wife, nobody, he doesn't answer phone calls. He doesn't do anything. So what I did is, okay, the weekends I spend with my girlfriend, it's designated for my girlfriend, but I still have a list of things I'll do when I'm with her. Take care of emails, reaching out to whoever, just managing my time. That's pretty much it.
So I think even in saying that, and sorry to cut you off, Marcy, I think
that's all right.
A more important question is, how effective is multitasking in general, period? Like, is that something that can be valuable to a person that wants to get something done? Is it valuable for me to try to do 5 different things at one time, as opposed to saying, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, as opposed to saying, I'm going to try to do them all at one time by giving a little bit to each one? Because I would be the first to say that, like, multitasking is a waste of time in itself.
It is. And if I can just piggyback on comments that both of you made. So Jim, you said create lists. I totally agree with that, because I'm a list producer myself. I like to get up in the morning after I meditate. Then I said, okay, I'm going to plan my day. I need to do A, B, C, and D. Maybe I need to do F, but I don't need to do F today. I can do F tomorrow. And I allot a certain time. I try to do that male thinking, where you compartmentalize and you allot a certain amount of time to accomplish something. And I try to accomplish and cross it off my list. So I'm a proponent of building lists. But another thing that this also speaks to, the aspect of multitasking, which is the topic of today's show, creating these anemic relationships because we're so busy multitasking. One thing that it speaks to is, can you say no? Do you have to say yes to everything? I know people who they want to be at every function. Every function. Is that necessary? No. Why do you have to be at every function? Because they can't say no to this one, they can't say no to that one. I think that that's such a waste of time. If you would actually get the courage, and that's part of leadership also, if you can get the courage to actually say, no, I can't accept that invitation because I already have another commitment or previous engagement. That speaks to your leadership quality. A lot of people tend to be scared to say no. And what they'll do, they'll say yes to it. And then at the appointed time, they just won't show up. You know, just be a wuss about it and just not show up. And that's not cool. That's really not cool. Because at the end of the day, that really affects your relationship with these people in the long term. And relationships are all about long term. People don't tend to realize or put any kind of credence to that aspect as well. Anything you guys want to say around that?
Like that, and I'll be honest, like I live what you just spoke, and to a lot of people, they call me a jerk. I'll be straight up. They call me a jerk, but I think like when you look at your end game, when you look at your finish line, that allows you to go back to your start line and say, like, all right, am I going to invest in a situation or a relationship or an aspect of a relationship that I won't be able to see through? And I put that with the situation that you said. All right, I see a friend of mine, and he going through a tough time. Now, I could be up front and say, hey, I'm probably not going to be the shoulder that you can lean on in this situation, so I'm not even going to start down that path with you. I'm not going to have this day with you where I sit there and let you just spill all your soul on me. I'm going to let you know up front, I'm probably not that guy. You can't call me when you're in a tough time because I'm more than likely focusing on business over here, as opposed to sitting there with him and pretending and letting him think that, like, hey, when I'm going through a tough time, I know I can call Marcus and he's going to sit there with me for 2-3 hours and I can just spill my soul to him, and then letting him down later because when he do call me 2 weeks from now because his girlfriend sleeping with so-and-so, and then I'm like, man, bro, I'm busy. That's just what she do. That's just her business. I can't do it. He's off like, man, I thought you were my guy. I thought you could do that. So I'll avoid all of that future because that's what ends up happening. You invest in a relationship when you give people your time and you give them that perception that you're going to be there. So it's easier to say in the beginning, these are my priorities. And you got, like what they say in the movie with Robert De Niro, you got a circle of trust. Certain people are within that circle of trust. When these people call me, I'm going to stop doing what I'm doing. I'm going to do a springboard. And then there are people that are not in that, where I got to let them know up front, we're not like that. We're not like that at all.
I'm laughing so hard because I know the movie that you're talking about. That's absolutely correct, though, because people tend to want you to be there for them at all costs, at all times. And they seem to forget that you have a life as well, you know? So I can totally understand that.
What do you have to say about learning that, at the same time, and I'm the opposite. I'm the opposite of you both. You know, I don't know, Marcia, if you do that, if you say no to people, but okay. So then I'm the opposite. I do. I'll be honest with you. This is something I'm learning right now, like with my life, with everything that I'm doing, is learning how to say no. But what I realized is when you set the goals, like whatever fits the goals for me personally, whatever fits the goals, I say no to. I say yes to. Sorry. If it's time being spent with my girlfriend or time with the family, if it fits the goal, I do it. But if it doesn't fit the goal, then that's when you'll get the I don't know, I can't, this, that. I just can't do it. But just to go back to what Marcus was saying before about the multitasking, I think it depends on different situations. If you got a 9-to-5, you have to focus on work. Like you can't do cooking while you're at a 9-to-5. You got to focus on work. You can't take care of your kid while you're at work. You got to focus there. So I think it really depends on the situation. But if it's like a Sunday and it's a free day and you have so much to do, sit down and write what you need to do. What's important. What could wait till next Sunday because you're so busy? What could wait till next Sunday or Saturday?
Well, I agree with that until a point. Even if a person has a 9 to 5, you could argue that is part of the list, because if that 9 to 5 is your stepping stone for you being able to get rid of that job so you can focus on what you want to do full time, you can't say that that's something that's not on the list. You got to say they're like, okay, this is part of my long game. My long game says I got to work this 9 to 5 for another year until I'm able to quit or until I'm able to save up money so I can go get my own spot, so I can start my own business. So at that point in time, you're not necessarily multitasking. You just got tunnel vision that that's just a part of the plan. I think a person, it's really important that a person make that same decision like what you just said. If this is a part of the goal, then yeah, I'm doing it. If it's not a part of the goal, I'm not. And being able to make that I call it a shameless self-inventory. You got to take it like, hey, does this really work for me? Does this hurt? You know? And being able to look in the mirror and say, what am I doing right now? People don't do that a lot.
I definitely do that.
And I think that also speaks to a level of commitment. A lot of people have a fear of commitment also. So you make a list and you say, okay, these are the things that I'm going to accomplish today, for example. Commit to yourself that, yeah, I'm going to invest the time that it takes to accomplish these things. And if it takes the time that, okay, I'm not going to sit on the phone with Johnny and listen to his sob story, or I'm not going to go down the street and hang out with Melinda. You know, you focus on what needs to be done, and you commit to yourself first. And then once you commit to yourself and you crossed it off your list and you said, okay, it might be 12 o'clock, it might be 1 o'clock a.m. That has happened to me, but the list is done. And you've accomplished what you set out to do. So you have maintained that commitment to yourself. If you can't even commit to yourself, how can you commit to anybody else? That's my piece on it.
That is
any questions, any comments?
The weirdest thing of all time. Like, I'll go to a speaking engagement, right? Like every speaking engagement I do, I'll ask people a flat out question. What do you want? And you'll get silence. You'll get complete silence. And that's a generic question, but I think that's the question that everybody should have the answer to. And the reason that bothers me so much, because if I then follow that question up with what's bothering you or what don't you want, there'll be a list. So what that lets me know is that people take a detailed inventory of what they don't want, what's negative in their life, but when you ask them what they do want, what they like to do, they don't know. There's no clarification. And I'll be the first to say that dreams need detail. And if that's the little point that goes on the side, if that's my lingering thought that you have with me, dreams need detail. So what you want should have a thesis attached to it, every single aspect on it. I want to make this much money. I want to drive this car. I want to live in this house. It should have everything to it, as opposed to if you ask somebody what bothered them that day, they can tell you every single thing.
I like that, right? A thesis. Yes, we believe in being specific. And that affects your communication. So you communicate with yourself and say, okay, I want a Bentley with gray interior and silver wheels or whatever it is, you know, but you're specific with what you want. I totally agree with that. And like I said before, that, or like you said, if they can communicate effectively, then that's how they can be perfect. Or have a perfect day, so to speak, right? So it all boils down to your being specific. Be specific with what you do want. And maybe some people, when they already know that, okay, I don't want this, or what they don't want, maybe that kind of hones them in to know what they do want. It's sad that you say that you hear silence, but that's so true. Not just with, you know, where you've been in attendance, but I think with everyone. If a guy should go to a woman and say, well, what is it that you do want? Sometimes they'll say, well, I really don't know. And they'll begin to tell you, well, I don't want this. I don't want a short man. I don't want a fat man. I don't want a poor man. You know, that kind of stuff. They'll know all the things that they don't want. But to frame it and say exactly what it is that they do want, whether it's a man or out of life or a perfect job for them. A lot of times they won't know. Women and men. So they just don't hate on me.
And then I'll just take that point, like, and then Jim, I'll pass this to you because I want to know, do you go through this too? Like, speaking to what Marcia was just saying, I'll go in and I'll ask my girl something to eat. If she's listening right now, I didn't mean it. I just want to make sure we got a good show. I say, baby, what do you want to eat? Are you hungry? And then she'll say, yeah. And I'll say, what do you want to eat? She'll say, I don't know. And she'll say, food. So it's like all these different things. And then so I'll suggest something. You want some pizza? She'll say, no. You want Chinese? She'll say, no. You want a burger? She'll say, no. You want to go to this restaurant? She'll say, no. So she'll know all the places that she doesn't want to go, but have no idea what she does want to eat, or what she is hungry for. And I don't know if you go through the same thing, but I will put that in the category, especially when it comes to relationships, of like multitasking and how you can have too much going on sometimes.
Yes.
I definitely go through that, trying to get a list of what to eat. It's like it's always a no. The first 10 is a no. But what I noticed from what everybody's saying and what's running in my mind is when you ask people these questions, the reason why they can't flat out and come out with an answer is because they're focused on so many what I don't want things.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
I personally, I'm sitting here, I'm like, wow, this is a way to increase or be better at multitasking or just juggling things, is just focusing on what do I want.
Yes. If you're just joining us, ladies and gentlemen, you're tuning in to the Speaker MC show, where it's all about relationships, relationship with yourself, with your mate, with your employee, employer, with food, with money. It's relationship on all levels. And tonight we are speaking about Focus RX, the cure for multitasking and the anemic relationship. So we are here with our guest, Mr. Marcus Carter, speaker, author, and TV host, as well as Mr. Jim Leroy from Young and Conscious, music and artist manager. And my name is Marcia Chambers, the host of your show. And we've been speaking on the topic of how people tend to delve into multitasking to a vast degree, and what are the reasons why they do that? Because they have no clarity, they're not specific with what it is that they do want, they have a problem with saying no, and all these things tend to speak to leadership, and it tends to speak to their effective communication or lack thereof. So here we are fleshing out some of the problems and how it's affected everyone. And now we're going to advise or give tips or give you some stories on how it's affected us, or how we can tell you or share with you rather on things that you may want to try to do if you are suffering from anemic relationships because of excessive multitasking. So anything you guys want to share with our audience today? Hi, Barbara. Hi, Mimi. Hi, Martin. Hi, Optimaxim. Oh, Optimaxim says, I don't want irresponsibility, meanness, defeatism, complacency, arrogance, bitterness. Oh, wow. He has a list of stuff that he doesn't want. So what is it that you do want, Optimaxim?
That list is going to be long. So as he's typing that, I'm just saying, I just want to say something. Why am I losing my train of thought? What was the question again? You said, Marcia, right before.
I wanted to know if you had anything to offer.
He wants the opposite.
I like him. I like him already. That's
I rock with that. Yeah. I rock with
that. You were talking to Marcia, and I think what he's doing right now, that speaks to how I think people process information. Now, if you want to see me and my girl argue, she'll ask me a question. I'll be like, I don't pay attention that much to the circumstance. I pay attention to how somebody processes information. So what I mean by that is This is an example, so don't try it. Somebody come up and they hit me in the face, right? They just hit me right in the face. I want to know why you did that, not as much as a reaction to like the actual hit. Like, did that person hit me because they feel like I wronged them? Did that person hit me because they feel like I'm treatable and like you could just look at me and you can hit me? And how that person processes information, men and women do it differently. Now, if you go back to the beginning of time, all right, men would go out and they would hunt. They're looking for deer, they're looking for a buffalo, they're looking for something like that. That's a linear thing to do. So I see that thing, I need to be quiet, I need to creep up on it, and I need to kill the buffalo. Whereas women at that time, they would go gather berries. So they needed to be nonlinear. They needed to say, okay, that's on a purple leaf. Is that one good for me? The last time I fed it to my family, did they get sick? That one over there is on a tall tree. So they needed to ask a lot more questions to make sure that what they were bringing back was worthy of the family, whereas a guy needed quiet. He needed to see this, go do that. And I think that kind of plays out today. We're like, okay, a man will say, I need to get over there. I'm going on a straight beeline, whereas a woman will say, should I go this way? Should I go that way? If I go this way, will I get in trouble? Or will I do this? So when my man Optimaxim says, I just want the opposites, that's how men think. Whereas some people might say, he's not answering the question, he's being short, he's being vague. But no, I think that's how men process information. I want to do that. I'm going to go there. No in between. Don't need to have a long conversation. I'm just going to go do that.
Marcus, well, actually, I'm sorry, Jim, but actually, Optimaxim has been listing.
He went ham. Soon as he went ham. Thanks for contradicting me, bro. I was backing you up. Okay.
Martin X. Okay. Hi, Martin. Hi, Martin. You were going to say something, Jim?
Nah, Marcus, I was going to ask you, is it a good thing that guys are so focused and ladies are more like analyzing things in different ways? Do you see it as positive or do you see it as negative?
I think, Jim, to be honest with you, I think that's something that you kind of answered and something that you said earlier. When you understand like what your goal is and knowing, okay, does this go to the goal or does it not go to the goal? Where I think it plays into a fact is you need to know that's how you are. So when I wake up in the morning and I know that's how I am, when my girl come to me and say, hey, Marcus, I don't like what you're doing, before I get defensive with her, I need to look in the mirror and say, oh, I am like that. So I can understand where she's coming from. So before I lash out or just rebut it, I can say to like, she probably sees that because that's how she processes information. She want to know 10 different reasons for X, Y, Z. And I'm really short. And I need to know that like, that's probably playing out in real time. So let me calm down and actually hear her out and see it from her point of view. So empathy starts to become a appropriate word at that point in time.
Nice.
Empathy. Nice. Okay. Martin says that women are slippery divas.
And men are shape-shifting twats. I dig it. Oh. You need to get word next on the show because he sound like
he got a lot to say. He got a lot to say.
I think that with regard to just the male-female dynamic, let's just start there. So men are very to the point, and women take the scenic route in any kind of dialogue or conversation. Now, if there is clarity, then maybe we don't have to take that long scenic route. Then we can just say, okay, I want A or B, because you guys you tune us out when we take that long scenic route. Am I right or am I wrong?
I think it depends
I think so.
Now y'all don't want to say anything?
I was going to say it depends on the person, but I tend to do that a lot. But then sometimes, I take the scenic route with you.
I think that goes into the person. Like with my girl personally, I got to take her scenic routes because that's my girl. So I see my finish line with her. So I understand that like, okay, this part of the journey, I got to go with her. Because on the same token, she go with me on my non-scenic routes. I'll choose not to take a scenic route and she go with me. So to me, that comes down to you should have priorities for things to do. And you should always also have priorities for people. Like I'm going to go with them when they do this, regardless of how I feel about it and what it means. Like my kids, like My kid could come up to me and say it's a boogeyman under the bed. I gotta go with him. I gotta go on that scenic route with him. I can't just be like, just bug him off. But like, if a kid walking down the street says to me, there's a boogeyman underneath the bed, I'm gonna say, hope I see you tomorrow, bro. Like, hope you make it.
Okay. Well, see, I needed to be a little bit more clear with my question. So the male-female dynamic. Let's say, I'll give a scenario. Your co-workers, whether it's your own business or you're at a 9-to-5, whatever it is. So your co-workers, and the woman wants a task completed. But instead of explaining what the task is, like, okay, I need the pen removed, I need the poster signed, like bullet points. Instead of doing that, she'll go through a whole plethora or a laundry list of words and descriptions. And you're like, just get to the point. Now, at that point, do you say to the woman, listen, do you take the initiative and say, listen, I wish that you speak with a little bit more clarity and less words so that we can get this done? Or do you sit there and go the scenic route with her?
I would say that comes to how that woman process information. Like, another tidbit on me, I'm a military guy. I'm a veteran. And we always talk, you have your conversations about what you think about the job after the job is done, not before you do it, because the person you're talking to may think that you just don't want to do the work. So I need to gauge if it's a situation with that coworker. I need to gauge, we're like, okay, is it more valuable to go back and forth with her before we do it? Or should we get it done and say, hey, I see that you did it that way. Maybe next time we could explore doing it a different way.
A different way.
So I think it comes down to, again, I'm a guy. So to me, it comes down to how does that person process information? That's going to let me know how I interact with them. But that, like Jim said, that's going to come down to what my ultimate goal is. So if my ultimate goal is like, hey, this could completely take me off that path, that's going to let me know, am I talking with that woman beforehand? Because if it's something I don't have to have that conversation, just get it done, keep everything quiet so I can stay on my path, I'm going to do that. But if it's a complete deviation to that goal, we need to talk now.
Okay. Jim, anything you want to add?
I think it depends on the situation, like Marcus said. Because my thing is, if you're sorry, something just came through. If you're focused on helping a person out and you see it's beneficial to you, then I guess you can take that approach. But now, if it's somebody that's, I'm trying to remember, I read something in a book where it's like, don't be too quick. Don't be too quick to just say no to a person, or don't be too quick to just bring their self-esteem down, because at the end of the day, what could happen? That person probably turns around and doesn't want to be your friend, or it depends on the situation. So I'm gonna give you an example. So if a person says something totally wrong, but it's not something that's detrimental to them or detrimental to us, why should we be quick to be like, oh no, that's wrong? Because at the end of the day, you want something in the back end, like you want their business, or you want their whatever it is. You don't have to be like, oh, that's wrong. No, that's wrong. Because now you just killed their self-esteem, and they're like, they want to be like, what do you mean that's wrong? They'll try to fight that. So my approach is, it depends on the situation. It depends on if it's worth speaking to this person about what she did that was wrong, or yeah.
Now, okay, so I appreciate what you both said. And Jim, I'm going to take issue with what you just said.
Dun, dun, dun.
If a person...
dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun.
If someone is wrong and you're saying, okay, the end goal, you're seeing a bigger picture, I get that. But if there's a way to effectively communicate that, listen, I would have taken that route, maybe this is something that you could try. Not saying that that's wrong. Maybe that choice for that particular scenario wasn't the correct one at the time. That is something that you could express there. But if you're going to let that person make that incorrect decision for that particular scenario and not say anything and not point it out, then what kind of friend are you being? That speaks to, and you're saying that it might affect the person's self-esteem. I think it will affect the person's self-esteem in the long run if they continuously do the wrong thing and not know that they're doing the wrong thing. You know what I mean?
Once again, I said it depends on the situation, and also what Marcus said, it depends on how they process information. So if you have a scenario where you're going to argue with somebody, there's horses over there, and you know there's no horses over there because you've been over there. Why should we go back and forth when I can just be like, okay, you may be right, I may be wrong. Let's look into it. That's it.
Okay.
End of conversation.
Okay.
But to go back and forth and be like, yo, I've been there, I seen it, I seen pictures. That person's self-esteem is like, what do you mean? What I know there's horses there, and they have no reason why. It's a waste of energy to just go back and forth. It's just a waste.
Jim sounds like every conversation that me and my girl have. So Marcy, I'm gonna bounce a question off of you, and I want to get like a female point of view. Like sometimes you'll be in a dynamic where you're dealing with somebody of the opposite sex, or just your partner. I won't even say the opposite sex. You're dealing with your partner or significant other. And sometimes it seems like they're not really going for an actual result, because we could spend time like trying to come to the end result, or we could spend time just like having a pissing contest. Well, you hurt me. Well, you hurt me too. Well, you hurt me more. No, you hurt me more. We could just stop that, and we could just say like, okay, what are we actually doing? How do we come to a resolution with this? I'll give you an example. My girl would come up to me and say, hey, when you did this yesterday, it really, really bothered me. You didn't take the trash out yesterday. It really, really bothered me. Then I could say, well, yeah, when I came in yesterday and there was nothing to eat, that really, really bothered me. Now, we can both just sit there and agree and say that, like, okay, we both were kind of bothered. Let's just fix that. Or we can continue saying, well, when you didn't take the garbage out, it made me not pick up the kids today. And then when you didn't do that, it made me not want to do the grocery shopping. We can go on and on and on. Or we can say that, like, all right, I get it. You're different. I'm different. When you did this, it came off to me like this. Let's figure that out since we're just different. It seems like women don't care to do that. They like the tit for tat. Well, or significant others, they like the tit for tat as opposed to saying, let's figure this thing out. Goes back to how a person processes information. What's winning?
Okay. Speaking to that, the tit for tat issue, I think sometimes women would say, well, I just want to let him know how I feel. You do this, I just want to let you know, well, I didn't like it, and that's how it feels when I didn't like it. Not saying that it's right, but from a woman's perspective, sometimes that's what the issue is. The other thing, a lot of arguments aren't really about the argument. You know that, right?
Now we finna get existential right now. Like the argument isn't the argument. Because
the argument is not the argument.
My question would be like, what's the value that you place on feelings? Because if we go back to what Jim was saying, like we got a goal that we're trying to get to. What's the value of feelings in relation to getting to that goal? I can get up in the morning. I don't feel like going to work. But how valuable is that feeling and what it is me getting to my end game? So how valuable are feelings anyway?
Feelings are very valuable. Feelings are very valuable. I think in life, regardless of what kind of relationship you have, whether intimate or just existential or whatever it is, feelings are very valuable. You have to have some kind of empathy, and you have to value that that person is a person. So feelings are very valuable. But getting back to where I was going with this, I think a lot of people, and it doesn't matter if it's boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, child and parent, you know, whatever it is, the dynamic, everybody has a certain love language, and people don't speak each other's love languages. Like you taking out the trash, you might not feel like you want to take out the trash, but you know, when you take out the trash, Oh, baby, you get a home cooked meal, and later you get the lingerie, you get the whole nine. But you wouldn't know that, because when you take out the trash, it makes her feel like, oh, he really cares about this relationship. Because like I said, the argument is not about the argument. There's always an underlying root. And because you guys, you say, well, we don't read your minds. You guys always say that. Well, we're not mind readers. Tell us what you want. Tell us what you don't want. Well, whatever it is. And if the woman doesn't, the woman would say, well, I don't have to tell you. You should know. And therein lies the rub. So whatever the love language is, find out what her love language is, and she should find out what your love language is. Some people love gifts. Some people love acts of touch. Some people love attention. Some people love acknowledgement. Whatever your love language is, you have to speak the correct language. And if you're not speaking the correct language, then you're always going to be at odds.
Right.
Whatever the situation is. You could be arguing over, well, that pebble is green. Like, who cares?
Well,
At the end of the day, we're heading towards this goal, and the vision is that we are going to be this united front. We can't be this united front if we're not on the same page. Right?
Question there, Marcia. And then Jim, let me know how you feel about this too. In relation to what you were talking about, I dig the concept of the love languages. To me, when we go back to what Jim said about being real clear cut on goal, and I go back to that, Jim, a lot, because that's something that I live by. That's just a principle I live by. Like, I need to be real clear on what I want. What I also should be clear on as an adult is what my own love language is. And I dig the concept of that. So I need to communicate that with my partner, because we could lose a lot of time while I figure it out. Or I can't ask that person, what's my love language? I need to tell them, hey, it works better with me if you do this. You let me know what works better with you if I do that, because we could just lose time. So would you agree that a person needs to take the time to figure out their own language, or should you gonna let somebody else tell you what your language is?
Well, I mean, each person should figure out their own language, but it's nice to do it as a couple. When I have my forums, that's what people do, especially when we have couples segment. They tend to, a lot of people are in relationships, long-term relationships, and they have no clue. And that is sad, because they're not effectively communicating. They're not talking. They're talking at each other. They're not talking with each other.
What do you think, Jim?
You should definitely.
What do you think? What do you think, man? Like,
you should. I think you should definitely figure it out. Figure out your love language, because you can't let somebody else figure that out for you.
Yep.
And it's important to. I don't know why I keep losing my train of thought, because I'm trying to write.
Because you're multitasking.
Now I try to write it when you both speak. When you both speak, I try to write it just so I don't forget it. But yeah, I think it's important, because you can't let somebody else figure it out for you. You just can't. And yeah.
Boom. Drops the mic, walks away. I like it.
Oh my goodness. I really enjoyed this segment here. Martin seems to have a lot to say. Martin says, only men understand love with no strings. Female love is selfish. Male love is altruistic. No one understands this. When a woman says she loves a man, she means that when she loves him, she feels good. When a man loves a woman, he means he loves being responsible for her happiness. Ah, is that right, gentlemen?
Martin.
When a man says he loves a woman, he loves being responsible for her happiness. Is that correct?
My boy Martin, like the angry, like, remember they had the angry Obama? Like, when I'm talking, he like the angry Marcus in the back and just saying the truth. He putting it in the way. He taking all the layers off of it.
He's like, yeah.
I do agree with you, Martin. I think if you're dealing with a significant other, male, female, and they don't feel responsible for your happiness, you're not dealing with the right person. And I think it's up to Because I feel responsible for my girl happiness. Like, it's up to me to make sure that she feels better. I take on that responsibility, and I want to make sure that I come through. Now, where the problem lies is where that can be sometimes is that sometimes it'll be a roller coaster between her understanding that that's what I'm doing. So at 10 o'clock, she'll be really sure that I'm doing that. But by 11 o'clock, she may wonder. By 12 o'clock, she's good again. By 3 o'clock, I didn't get a text at 2 o'clock, so I'm not sure if he's doing it now. So that commitment to a particular idea, which brings us back home to like being able to multitask, where's your focus, how's your leadership, things like that. Being able to commit to an idea, whereas like my man Martin say, a guy will say, we one-track minded, we're linear, I love her, I'm going to do this. I'm not easily swayed from that, whereas a woman, a significant other can have 6 million thoughts a day and go 10 different places. Life is a roller coaster. And I think that plays out more than men are from Mars and women are from Venus, is how the two process information. My word of the day.
Process information. I don't agree with you that you have to be responsible for somebody else's happiness. I think you are responsible for your own happiness. And from there, you can spread the joy. When you put that much responsibility in somebody else's hands.
Well, I think
I was going to say you do play a part. You do play a part in that, being responsible for somebody's happiness, or else they'll go find some happiness somewhere else, and you don't want that. You know,
in the pursuit of happiness.
If you really love that person and you really see the end goal, you got to make the person happy. And, you know, of course, happiness starts with you first. You're not going to go into a relationship and be unhappy to find happiness in somebody else. So you got to be happy. You got to be happy with yourself. So once you're happy with yourself, once you get into a relationship, you want that person to feel happy. So you do the things to make that person happy. You take out the trash. You do this. You do that. You do those things. So you could come home with see the lingerie like this.
When you in a relationship with another person, if it's going the way it should go, you're vulnerable with that person. So that person knows what makes you laugh. That person knows what makes you cry. That person knows what makes you smile. So you're allowing yourself to be vulnerable with that person. So the person that you're in a relationship with is responsible for you giving that to them. So, for example, Marcia, me and you in a relationship, you know what'll make me break down and cry right now. So you carry that like you're responsible for what makes me cry, because it's like chess at that point. You can engineer my emotions because you know what makes me tick at a certain point in time. Like with my girl, I know her deepest, darkest fear, and I can do with that what I may. I can play with it, kind of poke at it, or I can carry it and hold it like it's something that's very, very gentle. What makes her smile or what makes her cry. So I am responsible for her love, for her feelings, for all of those things at that point in time.
Well,
we got it, Jim. We got it, Jim.
Once you hear Marcia saying, well,
we got it.
I know she's not looking at the time. She knows she's caught.
What can I say? Like I said, you know, I don't advocate having so much responsibility. I know I met this guy some time ago, and he was always saying, "Oh, you make me so happy. You make me so happy." But that was a lot of responsibility, because the minute that I stopped putting all my attention on him and started, "Ooh, Marcus, where are you?" started putting some attention on me, then the happiness meter went from a 10 to a 3, because, oh, you're not focusing on me anymore. So that kind of responsibility, why can't you make yourself happy? And I'll just be the complement to that. That's just
now the question is, where did it come from when you thought that you weren't getting the attention? Like, is that true or not, or was that just your perception? So were you factually not getting the attention, or did you just feel like at that moment you weren't? Because what is it?
No, not me.
Him. He didn't feel like he was.
That he was.
Well, I'll turn it right around on him. Like that's a feeling. That's a feeling. Like me right now, feeling like, okay, I'm not getting enough attention from my girl. Like, that's just what I'm feeling. That may not be true. She may be sitting there right now, like, figuring out my surprise birthday party or something right now. And I'm thinking I'm not getting attention. So you got to be responsible for those things. You got to be responsible for your feelings.
Oh my goodness, that's a lot of responsibility, Marcus.
Winning ain't easy. Like it's a job. Losing is easy. Losing is like, hey, I'm good. I'm not responsible for nothing. I can just sit and be a bum all day. Winning is hard, and it takes a lot of response. It's a job, so be prepared for it. Costs to be the boss.
Oh Lord. Well, on that note, since it costs to be the boss. Oh my goodness, this has been so much fun. I'd like to thank you both, Marcus Carter, speaker, author, TV host, and Mr. Jim Leroy, young and conscious CEO of Future, what is it?
Freedom.
Freedom Artist Management. Yes, sorry about that. As I mentioned to you at the beginning of the show, we'll be giving away some gifts. And would you like to tell us what our gift is, Jim? What gift offering are you providing our guests today?
Unfortunately, I do not have a gift. At the moment, one of my artists is actually finishing up his project. I would, matter of fact, I do have a gift. That will be a gift that I can offer them because it's an artist that's under my management company. I'll give them the latest CD that this artist is coming out with this summer.
Okay, what's the name of the CD? Do you have a name of the CD?
He doesn't have a name for it as of yet, but the project is almost done. He's trying to figure out a name.
Okay, a new CD by his artist. Does the artist have a name?
Artist's name is A Motivation. He goes by Amo from Oakland, California.
Amo from Oakland.
And
all right. And how would our guests receive this? Where can they connect with you?
They can email me directly. How does it work out with the gift? Does it somebody has to win it, or how are they going to connect?
It's up to you.
Okay.
Whatever the offering is, however you devise it for them to get, it's up to you.
The first email that I received at youngandconscious.com, youngandconscious@gmail.com, @gmail.com.
YOUNG.
And it's A-N-D. You got to spell it.
At Gmail.
Yeah, the first email that I get, just provide their address and I'll get it sent out to them. First
email wins the prize. All right. And as I said, that's it. That's good.
The young.
Okay, so you can write it in then. Can you write it in? All right, Young and Conscious. And Mr. Marcus Carter, CEO of MC Enterprises in Chicago, Illinois. Marcus, what are you offering
I got a tip
today?
for everybody. Don't eat yellow snow. It's not good. Did you see?
Really, Marcus?
Boy Martin, he said he want to get on camera. Did you see that? Did you see that? He's ready for his close up. Are you playing? No, to everybody listening, I appreciate it. Had a great time. Marcia is always great. Jim, it was really nice to meet you. Like I said in the beginning of the show, I am an author. I'm working on the follow-up to my first book, You, Me, Him, and Her. The follow-up, Yours, Mine, His, is Her. Yours, Mine, His, and Hers will be available next month. And everybody that emails me, I'll send you a special link. And with that, I'll give you autographed copies of both books. I'll pay for the first one, and I'll send the second one. So it's a buy one, get one. I'm going to go ahead right now, and I'm going to type in where to send that email. And when you send that email, I will send you a special link. I'll send it right there. And again, that's a thank you, Marcia. I appreciate the opportunity. It's been fantastic. You let me vent without getting lynched from all these women, because sometimes y'all can be crazy. Appreciate it. And this needs to be my honorary pass. I need to be able to come back. We need to do this again. Jim, you got to come back with me, too, because we get good. We partners in crime over here.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You guys agree on so many levels. It's ridiculous. I thank you both. This has really been enjoyable. And as I said, my name is Marcia Chambers. I'm the host of the Speaker MC Show. I'm speaker, trainer, and mentor. And I have a couple upcoming events that I'd like to invite you to. First and foremost, my free offering is a buy one, get one free. I'll be having a forum, the LCS Forum, in the Union Square location. So if you're in New York, visit us. And LCS is about leadership and confidence in the boardroom and the bedroom, how they correlate. Get 2 tickets for $97. It's going to be July 14th. And the first person to sign up, there'll be an Eventbrite link on my Facebook page. So the first person to connect with me on Facebook, you'll be getting your ticket for free, your 2 tickets for free. $97. Buy one, get one free. If you buy 1 ticket, it's $97. If you buy 2, you're allowed to bring a friend. So 2 for $97 or 1 for $97. Buy one, get one free. And I'm also speaking on July 27th. Well, yes, we're having a sales strategies teleseminar Wednesday, July 27th from 7 to 8:30. It's a collaboration with PSA New York and the Small Business Forum. So join us. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being such fantastic and fabulous guests. And thank you to my 2 co-hosts, Marcus Carter, Jim Leroy. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we are signing out from the Speaker MC Show. Thank you and good night.
Good night, guys. Good night, Mark.
Good one, boss.
Good night, Marcel. Likewise.
All right.